What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
Mike,
And I'm Brock, and tonight we're joined by Jeff, whoever that is.
Hello.
Hello, Jeff. How's it going?
I'm doing well, drinking a beer, watching the college football championship, and on an awesome podcast.
Nice, nice. Tonight we will be discussing the headliner of War Games 2093, Alpha Force.
Yep.
There he is.
But before we get into Alpha Force, I was going to say we decided to make Jeff a member of our group, but he might be the Mike Molesky member who can just only randomly appear.
That is very true. I'm going to be very busy. I'm always very busy. And next week I'll be at Monday Night Raw while this is recording.
Ooh.
So
There you go.
When you do have like 9 kids, so it's all, you know.
yeah, it's a bit exaggerated. I got enough for a starting basketball team, but
I don't know how you do it. I can't handle the two I've got. There's a big age range in yours, too.
yeah, the oldest is 18 now. The youngest is 3.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight
Hats
we're
off
going
to
to talk
you.
about somebody else that liked to get busy, and that was Omega.
Yeah.
How many kids did he have in the GWF? I think 3? Star Warrior, Alpha Force, and what was the daughter's name?
What was the daughter's name? Nova? No.
Nova.
Supernova.
Supernova. Yeah. There you go.
That's close.
He was on his way. He might have had 5. Maybe 2 of them didn't wrestle. We don't know.
I think Bloodline was his too.
I don't think so, but okay.
To cover up.
And they're descendants of Wahoo McDaniel.
They are. They are.
There was probably a lot of people that were Omegas and didn't realize it. There was a lot of characters that had the tomahawk thrust, I feel like.
That thrust just brought a whole new different meaning to the.
It did.
I honestly don't think any of them are Omega's kids because none of them look anything like them.
Yeah, they
like,
don't really.
Kind of like Rocky Johnson.
Yeah.
He's got like 14 kids just, oh.
Allegedly. Yeah. How'd Alpha Force do for everybody?
Well, I'm still using them.
Okay.
And I didn't think he did that well for me. And then I pulled out my handy little card. And title-wise, I had at one point I had something because I run 3 different feds, right? I had something I called the Solar Wrestling Championship, and so that was a heavyweight champion that would defend in all 3 promotions.
Okay.
And I only ran it for a little bit, but Alpha Force won the tournament and defended the title, and then I just finally retired it. But he was the only person to hold the title. And he's a 3-time GWF heavyweight champion, a 2-time GWF War Games champion, and a 1-time Intergalaxian singles champion.
It's pretty good.
So he did hold some titles. The only thing he can't do is win a feud.
He had some pretty rough feuds, though.
He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He is 2, 8, and 2 in feuds.
Wow.
Who were his 2 wins over?
The very first year he beat Chaos.
That's a strong one.
Yep. And then he lost the next 5 against Chaos.
That's a lot of feuds against Chaos.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great feud. And then he beat Skinhead one year. And that was it. And then he drew against Skinhead and then lost against Skinhead. So, yeah.
With this card?
With the tag card?
I'm in 2105, so.
Oh, he got downgraded in, I think, was it 2099?
Yeah. With that Brian Bendis art.
Yeah. Well, my Alpha Force, he has held the GWF or the Galaxian title of mine 6 times. He's the 3rd most total days as champion, including one of the higher averages. He's had 6 reigns for 882 days. The only people with more days as champion are Omega and Thantos.
Nice.
Hall of Fame wise, I mean, he's pretty much a shoo-in. He won't go in this year, spoiler alert. because I'm doing my Hall of Fame right now, actually this month of my playing. But he's not going to be the inductee. But so far, Omega and Thantis are going in before him, and it looks like Star Warrior will probably be next, of course, and then it'll be Alpha Force. He did have a Regal Rumble win, which is my my February event I hold every year. He also had a Ring Warrior win, which is my version of the King of the Ring. He was Wrestler of the Year 3 times. So I mean, he's solidified his spot in my Fed. Now that he's gotten downgraded, he's been feuding with mid-carders, but hasn't really gone for the interplanetary or anything. He's kind of, third wheel right now with Colossus and Heracles. He's still there. He didn't have as much personality in my Fed either. Star Warrior seemed to have a lot more personality. Alpha Force, I always thought it was an odd choice that he came in as the older brother after the younger brother, which, he just came to win. He was very, just direct about it. Didn't really have much character to him.
I agree with that 100%. I couldn't get into him.
Lost in the shuffle.
He was definitely lost in the shuffle because he was brought in to feud Chaos basically, and Chaos just dominated him in my Fed. Like it was so one-sided, and I just kind of lost interest in him because of that. Because that was his role, was to take on Chaos, and it was so one-sided. He definitely got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, because that first card was supposed to be awesome. Like he had double +5 finishers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was pretty good odds to hit it too.
He did really well for me. I mean, let's see, he debuted in 2093. By August of that year, he had won my title. He also had the last 300-day reign I've had since 2091. He's the only one since then. I'm now in 2100. So he was strong for me. He actually won the Chaos feud quite a bit. His main feud's obviously Chaos, Spike a little bit, Chaos again. Then I had him with, let's see, where did he go to? Chaos a lot. But he had Matador and Thantos and Spike mixed in here and there.
Yeah, I think this card was the definite start. I mean, it started with Chaos, but then when the Alpha Force was the answer, I think this is what started the power creep officially. Yep. Was Alpha Force. Because there's always had to be somebody brought in to beat the best guy from the previous sets.
Yeah. Chaos was, the guy set to, beat Thantos and Star Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
They could still get wins against him because, he could drop suddenly in the middle of the map. But then you get somebody coming along with, double +5 finishers. That's supposed to be a game breaker.
And the thing about it, go ahead, Jeff.
I think we saw the start of the power creep, but I think it kind of paused there because after Alpha Force came in, I really didn't have anybody strong come in after that for a while.
It wasn't probably till Pegasus would probably be the next real big guy.
I think 2101 when Pegasus came back was the next real overpowered thing, because from 2093 until 2100, it was pretty much people retaining the titles again and again. I had a few jump in there like Vengeance, Wolf, Janus got a run with the title, Raven, even Mayhem got up there. And even the original Pegasus got in there. And then I think Mike noticed on my Fed last year I had a Kati got in there one time as champion.
I love when that happens.
Not very long, just 1 month, but
it still counts.
He won the title from Janus and lost it to Kati, or to Chaos, so it was a neat little run there for him.
Everybody has that one guy.
I think the power creep didn't really. I think we saw a hint of it.
So that you think this was like, we got to do something here, so let's just pause for a little bit.
Yeah.
So he was the stopper of the power creep.
Alpha Force, yeah. It was like, okay, and then we're going to let this whole, Alpha Stone, Alpha Force kind of thing run out. And then they focused a little bit there on the Gladiators for a couple years, with the new regime, the Vanguard versus Legends. Mm-hmm. And so I think once that ended, it was the mega tournament, which bringing in the powerful Pegasus, which that'll be my next step. Looking forward to playing it.
Nice. So you have changed my mind. Alpha Force is not the start of the power creep. He's the pause of the first power creep.
There you go.
He's the start and the pause all in one.
I mean, but we had that before. You saw, Star Wars guys update in 2090. Matador came in
Mhm.
2091. Then you had 2092 was Chaos, and then 2093 was Alpha Force. So there was a little creep there from 2090 to 2093.
Yeah.
It was a 4-year span. That's a decent amount.
You can even go back further with Spike in 2088.
But then in 2089, unless you count Bounty Hunter,
Yeah, there's really nobody until Star Warrior was updated again. Or
yeah.
Star Wars, yeah, his first update, I guess. But yeah, I agree with you now. You've changed my mind. It's not hard to do.
I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle. I want to make
Yeah,
an
yeah.
impact. No,
Nice.
I just was looking at my title history as I always do when I'm on here, and it's just I saw a lot of champions getting it again and again and again, and there was no newbies besides the ones I just listed, and they were
Mhm.
few and far between. It was
Yeah.
basically just passing the title around between the same handful of guys.
Yeah, that does even happen with myself, and all of a sudden somebody will just either pop in like you had with Caddy, just kind of
Yeah.
pops in just for a brief second, or they'll manage to capture it, one or two times, and then they just disappear
Mhm.
and then end up going after some other title because they just get pushed out of it.
Because the Fed was so big at this point too.
Yeah.
It was getting
Yeah.
pretty big.
And you end up with I use a ranking system. Some might call it a stroke system because I do add in segments and little bonuses for when I think a storyline's working, but mainly based on wins and losses. And you see the same guys fight for the title over and over. Even the guys I listed, Vengeance had a 28-day reign. Wolf had a 21-day reign. He did come back and win it for a second time, but again, it was only a month. Janus lasted for 2 whole months. Raven had it for 3. Mayhem had it for 3. Pegasus had it for 2, and then of course Kati had it 1. So I mean, none of them were long reigns. They just popped in, became a main eventer for a short time, progressed the title back to people like Chaos and Raven and Alpha Force and guys like that.
One thing that stands out on Alpha Force's card for me is there's really no penalty for missing the finisher. Because you just re-roll on level 3 offense. Usually there's some kind of like, oh, you messed up and got hurt and somebody takes over, or you go up a level or something like that. Nope, you just roll again on level 3 offense. So you get another 1 in 3 shot of hitting the +5 finisher.
That's one thing I remember, that when he first came out, I got him in a tournament, and I was in the finals, and it was the same thing. I'm like, I made it to the finals with Lord Nexus and won tournaments with Lord Nexus on a 00. Now I got a guy with a 55.
Yeah, and there's really no penalty to missing it. You just get another shot.
Yep.
Yeah, he was really powerful, and I was actually happy when he got downgraded because, as I said, his personality didn't shine through as much as Star Warriors. He didn't have the history either where I got to bring in. I've played the classics era, so I had Star Warrior already was an established tag wrestler, and then he worked his way up. And with Alpha Force, as he came right in, he pretty much did a domination. I mean, I think he won the Regal Rumble his second month in my Fed, which is not something people typically do. He was pretty much, he'd only had 1 or 2 matches at that point, and he's like, okay, I'm going to win it. So, I mean, I was ready for his downgrade. I was happy he got downgraded. His time came. He had a 3-year span in a row where he was the wrestler of the year from 2094 to 2096. So I was happy for him to get downgraded. I really feel like when he got downgraded, though, because maybe your guys' Fed is different, Colossus and Heracles really haven't done anything for me. So the Champions of the Galaxy really isn't even a top tier faction for me right now. I mean, they're there and they're relevant, and they do appear on several of my bigger cards or pay-per-views or whatever you want to call them, but they're not, it's not the Star Warrior era.
Yeah, it is different. I blame the Gustovich artwork.
Could be.
Just doesn't feel right.
That whole set got every wrestler in that set got redone within like 2 years.
They did. In some way or another.
I'll say I kind of, how we've seen the reimagined sets. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but we've seen the reimagined sets and they're colorizing the old sets and whatnot. I'd kind of like to see some of the newer sets in black and white and see what people do with them.
That'd be kind of neat. It'll never happen.
No.
That'd be kind of cool.
Why would you?
I just think that the artwork was on a lot of cards was more crisp on the black and white because you were more engaged with the artwork, whereas now there's distractions.
Mm-hmm. I get that with the backgrounds and everything, and
Yeah, like everybody's got their favorites. Like Carter's first couple sets, my favorite, and then some Snelly, some Daryl Banks art. I wasn't a big fan of Jeremy Sue.
mm-hmm.
Nobody likes Gustovich.
No.
That's just a given.
What's funny is with the Gustovich set, as we've mentioned on here before, I'm a big Palladium books guy, and he did a ton of artwork for that. And if you flip through those books, you see, oh, that's the pose for Heracles, that's Colossus. There's, it's just like just foamed it in. Basically, there's no question about it.
And I'm trying to remember who did the art for the blue sets, like the historians.
That was a group of. I think that was a little bit of everybody.
Because some of those guys, like I look at the historians and I'm looking and I'm like, that's Gil Kane.
I think that was Bendis that drew them. Let me look that up real quick.
Like just
sounds right, because I believe the original Wolf didn't have eyes. Like he had the circles with no color in.
Yeah, it was Bendis.
Okay.
That was probably Bendis's best set, though, those classic sets that he did, because that's my favorite Wolf drawing, even though Jeff doesn't like it because it doesn't have eyes.
It doesn't have colored in. It's just that was the Bendis trademark, though, right?
It was very comic book.
Yeah. I've never been a Wolf fan though either.
Me neither.
Lost in the shuffle.
That's my favorite Wolf drawing, though, by far.
And I like how Jeff just removes the L from Wolf's name. Wolf.
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 Wolf. Wolf.
No L in there. It's Wolf.
Good stuff.
I'll tell you, I'm playing in that era right now where Wolf is with the gladiators, and it's awkward seeing him in face paint.
Yeah, I saw that on your thing, and I'm like, okay. I thought you were just making up the storyline.
No, that's real.
Get back to him.
Still real to me.
He was a part of the Legends team of gladiators against the Vanguard.
Sure.
He's basically supposed to be feuding with Mayhem at that point.
Interesting.
Yep.
But how would y'all power creep?
Oh gosh.
The Alpha Force.
How do you power creep Alpha Force? Like,
my guess is you take away those rerolls.
Yeah.
So he hits it. Say goodnight, Irene. It's all over.
+5 is ridiculous, and then to have it on there twice.
Yeah.
A 1 in 3 shot of hitting a +5 finisher, but you do have to roll for it, though.
And there's an out of the ring in there too.
Yep, and a death jump.
Yeah,
and a choice G on number 1.
Which
it's one of your favorites,
death
Mike.
Jump. Yeah.
A small package too. Choice G.
The small package never works.
Nope. You never can get pinned from it because it takes you to level 2.
Just one of those moves I don't think Tom understood wrestling, like when he said Irish Whip 2.
Well, that one I'll give him a pass on because you could whip somebody really hard into something instead of the ropes, I guess.
And
the small package could leave you hurt. I mean, if you don't have very strong abs or something. I mean,
That's
if I got
true.
wrapped in that position, I would be aching to get back
I'm
up.
I'm trying to remember one of the guys had lateral press 1. I'm like, Tom, do you know what a lateral press is? And he's like, no. He goes, it just sounded cool. I'm like, it's a pin. You literally gave that person a pin on level 1.
With no chance of it actually pinning somebody.
But it can leave them dazed or hurt.
Yes. I love it. I guess just to power creep him, I changed the Alpha Force 1 reversal to an Alpha Force 2 on level 2 defense. Just to find something to bump him up a little bit and be different.
Because he was he a -1 on power and -3 or -4 on speed?
He was -4 agility, -2 power. So.
-2, oof. Yeah. I mean, I think you nailed the power creeps. I think losing the rolls would be. I mean, he did miss sometimes, even though he got a chance to do it again.
Hmm. Yeah, without penalty. Like
Yeah.
nowadays, when you see a big finisher like that that has a roll mechanic, 9 times out of 10, or probably more than that, it's a reversal.
Yeah, the opponent rolls on level 3 usually.
Hmm.
9
So it's
times
like,
out
do
of
you want to
10,
do
but
it?
more than that.
Yes. So if there
99,
were
99 times out of 100.
19 times out of 20, or even,
Oh,
slightly more than 95%,
95,
90%.
96, 96 out of 100.
Yeah. 96% of the time.
It works every time.
Yes. See?
We're
Now
speaking Brock.
I'm gonna have to get out all my cards and do the math on it to see where I'm at on it. So yeah, that's Alpha Force.
So our our topic is favorite video games.
Oh boy.
Oof.
There's been a
Well,
lot.
yeah.
I've been playing video games. I bought my first video game system in '85, the Atari 2600. I bought it from Consumers Distributing. I saved up
Ooh,
$200.
nice.
I still have it, and I still have the original box.
That's probably valuable. We had an Atari 2600 in my house when I remember playing it. My mom was I remember her being very overly competitive at Pac-Man, but also very good at it.
My first system was actually, and it's because I have an older sister. They bought it 3 years before I was born, but we had an Intellivision 2.
Ooh,
And my favorite game on there was Burger Time.
Burger Time was great.
I mean, it's a fantastic game. You run around, you knock the burgers down, you throw pepper, eggs, and sausages. They're trying to get you. Like,
Try and catch them as toppings.
yep, it was fantastic. I still love it. I recently, probably like a year or two ago, bought one that was unopened from
Yeah.
Intellivision 2 and still in the box just because I wanted to have it.
I had that on NES.
I did have an Atari, but I had the 7800.
Ooh.
Yeah, really advanced. Came with pole position.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. My favorite, the game I played most. I mean, I played a lot of Dr. J vs. Larry Bird. When he broke the backboard dunking, the guy would come out to sweep away the glass, and he'd kind of curse you out with his. That was always fun. A random game I used to play on there. I mean, Pitfall was really popular, which that's not a random game. But a random game I used to play on there was called Keystone Capers. There was a burglar that would start a level above you, and you were this
You were
cop that would
police.
try to chase him. And you had to jump over like shopping carts and duck underneath toy planes, and I can't remember what other obstacles there were, but you had to get to him before he got out of the building. And some reason he exited the building at the top floor. I don't know. I didn't design the game, but that's how it worked.
Is there a helicopter waiting for him?
I don't think so. I feel like it was really weird, and it was like almost like you were at an underground mall or something, and then he was on the main land when he got. It was like 4 floors or something. But I just remember it being a lot of fun.
Sounds cool.
And the original Mario Brothers too. That was another one I played on there a lot. Before the Super.
Our
Okay.
first video game system was in 1984. My brother bought what was called a Genesis, and you could play all the Atari games on it. It was put up by Sears, but it came with its own games as well. And then my brother moved out, and so I, bought some games, and so okay, and you couldn't get the Genesis anymore. It was just a small, little brief window that failed. So that's why I ended up buying my Atari, and then I had that and put it away, and didn't play video games for years. And then I jumped right into Nintendo.
There you go.
Yeah, the NES is classic. That's one probably most people got. I didn't get an NES like when a lot of people did. I don't think I got it until Super Mario 3 was released. My favorite game on there was probably Super Dodgeball.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it was fun to always be America and slinging dodgeballs at all the other countries. All the different characters had a different super throw too. If you remember, they would do different things. That was really fun.
I never even heard of that game. See, I went from Nintendo. My buddy Rob had a 7800 because we used to play Tecmo Bowl. and then Bo Jackson's football on it. And then I went from that to a Sega Genesis. Went from Nintendo to Sega, and then I just went to computer games. And then I got a Wii.
Nice. Yeah, I had all of them growing up pretty much. I started with the NES, then got the Sega Genesis.
Well, I had a
And then-
GameCube thrown in there somewhere.
GameCube was underrated.
That was the first system you could play online against other people, but people didn't realize it.
Yeah, that was before the Xbox.
You could, and it was free. You could play against people if you knew how to do it. You could play GoldenEye against your friends online.
GameCube
That's why
was
I bought the Wii, because the Wii was backwards compatible with the
GameCube.
GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a first, I got a first generation Wii, so I could play all my games, and I was a big Robotech fan on the Wii. In the GameCube, huge loved Robotech, and it was funny because when I was upgrading my games, I was at a comic book convention, and Xbox was there. I was at Fan Expo, and Xbox had a huge booth, and they're selling their games. So I picked up a football game. I picked up, I think it was Madden 2015. It had just come out, but they were selling it for $20 because it was at the booth. And the guy's like, "You ever play Madden before?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What's the last one you bought?" And I'm like, "Jerome Bettis is on the cover." And he's like, "That's 2006." Yeah, I'm a little behind.
Madden
I won
was
the
great.
Super Bowl with Pittsburgh just so I could play with the bus.
I liked when Madden brought along the creative character. I think it was 94-ish, and you got to do
Yeah.
the lifting of the weights and the kicking of field goals and
Yeah, it was
various
early
things like
on.
that. We'd play those as like little mini games more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I-
That game was definitely pretty advanced for those 16-bit consoles.
I had all the systems too. I had Sega Genesis. I played a lot of NHL 94. I remember playing Coach K basketball. I had the Super NES. My favorite wrestling game on there was WWF Royal Rumble. I played a lot
That
of that.
was good.
I also had Lethal Enforcers that came with the blue and pink gun. You had to
Mhm.
shoot things. That was pretty cool. Let's see. Then, of course, N64, GoldenEye, WCW, NWO were my favorite games. PlayStation 1. I'd give a shout out to the Wu-Tang game on there. It was like Mortal Kombat,
Yep.
but it was
Wu-Tang
Wu-Tang. Yeah.
Shaolin style. I had that.
Enter the Chamber. Like, that was a fantastic game. It was a lot of fun. I played mostly sports games, though. I was big into the NBA Live games. Anything like that was big on me. PlayStation 2, more wrestling games and stuff. I can't name them all that were on
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Outside of sports game stuff, I'd say on the PS1, I had Resident Evil. Playing that the first time was amazing. That like opened up my eyes to a whole different type of game. At the Final Fantasy series, I only played Final Fantasy 7 really, but I really enjoyed that. I mean, but there's a lot of classic games that came along. I also bought a Sega Dreamcast briefly for NFL 2K when that came out.
The Dreamcast is another underrated console.
Yeah, and it had Crazy Taxi was probably that, and all the boxing game on there. I don't even remember what that was called.
Ready to Rumble, wasn't it?
Yeah, there it is. That was a good one.
Mhm.
But then I kind of got out of it with the PS3, PS4, Xbox stuff. I played Call of Duty, and I tried to venture into Halo. It wasn't really my thing. I played it a
Yeah.
little bit, but Call of Duty I stuck with for a good 3 or 4 years, and then I kind of the consoles. I haven't played one now in probably 10 years. I mean, besides playing like Mario Party on the Switch or something.
Yeah, I play Switch. I followed Pokemon throughout my entire life. I probably have years of my life logged into playing Pokemon games. I think the newest one that came out mid-November, I already have
Yeah.
120 hours logged in it.
Wow, I got
It's
it
on your,
for
it's on your Twitch stream though.
It is.
my son got it from my mom at Christmas, so from his grandma. So we've got Scarlet and Violet now.
Nice. Which one is he playing?
I think I've seen him play more of Violet.
That's what I played first
He
too.
he was pumped when he got a Howlucha because that's one of my 2 favorite Pokemon.
It's the
He looks
wrestling
like
Pokemon.
that and Machamp because he had a belt. Like so
Yep.
those were my 2 Pokemon. I always wanted a poster of the 2 of them facing off like a pay-per-view
There's also
Supercard.
Incineroar. Have you ever seen him?
I have not.
Incineroar was from Sun and Moon. He was the fire type starter. It was lit and turned into Incineroar. He has a championship belt as well.
I have to look at that.
You know how they give him all a little tag name?
Yeah.
Like he's the heel Pokemon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I like Pokemon. My exposure to that, though, I mean, Mike and I are both a little older. Pokemon wasn't big until I was in my late teens, I think. So I wasn't as into it, but I've got a lot of exposure to it since the kids and the Pokemon
Mhm.
Go and stuff like that, because we used to do Pokemon Go as a family.
Yeah. That's one of those franchises I think that's just going to be around forever.
Yeah, see, we got an Xbox because we had the Wii, and then my wife's work had a big year-end party, and so they got a bunch of Guitar Heroes, and so they up on the big screen, so people were doing Guitar Hero battles. And at the end of the night, her boss said, "Yeah, you can take one home." So she took home an Xbox and 2 guitars, along with a couple Guitar Hero games. And we had it for about 2 months. We bought a couple games, and it died because it was just
Oh,
a
no.
used one. Got the old red ring of death.
Uh,
And then
There are
she's like, "Well," she's like, "let's go just buy a new Xbox." So it came with Gears of War. And I hadn't played a shooter game since Contra.
You missed a lot of them in between.
yeah,
So
just a few.
it was a big jump for me. I was like, whoa. And then we started playing online because what had happened is that's when I had my mini stroke. And so I was off work for like 8 months. And I'm at home and my doctor told me to play video games every day because it'll improve your hand-eye coordination, muscle memory, stuff like this. And so I'm playing and I'm really bored because there's only someone you can play the computer. And I'm like, hey, can I get an online membership? She's like, yeah. So we got all this and I've got the headset and next thing I'm just, it's a whole new world out there. And now I've been playing with some of these guys for, 12, 13 years. And it's completely weird. Now my wife is now friends with some of the people I play video games with. She
Nice.
plays video games with the same people. And it was good because when the daughter's up in Ottawa, we're playing video games together. So you're always talking and
Yeah.
hanging out. And here's something: if you ever play, because do you guys have the Xbox?
Yeah, I had one.
There's a game called Vampire Survivor. It's like $6 online, and it's like if you ever played that old arcade game, Golden Axe.
Yeah.
It's like that, but you're just one person, and you can unlock different characters and weapons. And that has now sucked up hours upon hours of my life. And even my wife has almost cleared it. I come home every day and she's playing the game.
Nice.
I had Golden Axe on the Sega Genesis. It was a lot of fun. You either had the strong guy, the Amazonian type woman, or the little like troll like looking guy. I don't remember. Dwarf, I guess, would be a more accurate term.
hmm Another one of my all-time favorites on the PlayStation 2 was the Time Splitters series. Either of you guys ever hear of that or play that?
Never played it.
It was a first-person shooter. It was kind of cartoony, but it took place in different time periods. Like you would go to like a pirate ship and you'd have a blunderbuss and stuff like that, and then all the way to the future, and you'd have like futuristic weapons and stuff like that. But they would put you out of time, like you would be the pirate in the future and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. It spawned. It was a series. They keep saying it's going to be revived, but it never has been. It's been on hiatus since like 2008, I believe.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, see, my
Lost in the
favorite
shuffle.
my favorite series are the Gears of War. Excuse me. I played those religiously. I still play them online. And Red Dead Redemption Part 2. I played Part 1 a bit online, but Part 2 I played. The wife and daughter and now her fiance are now all playing it online. And just that Vampire Survivors. I know you can get it on your phone, so you could download it for a mobile app. But
Mhm.
it's neat because it's especially if you're an old timer like myself here, it harkens right back to arcade games.
Is it cross-platform?
I don't know if it's on the PlayStation. because I don't own a PlayStation, but I know it's on the Xbox. It very well could be. I know it's on. From what I've been told, I think it's on Steam as well. So
Okay, so it probably is. I could probably play you from my Switch if it's available then.
well, yeah, like you don't play against other people,
Okay.
and you don't join other people. It's just you. So if
Oh,
you just
okay.
want to sit down, and the games are timed, so 15 to 30 minutes.
hmm
So it's perfect.
I play a browser game called Stream Raiders on my stream.
I've watched it.
I'm
Tried to
affiliated with
understand
them.
it.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
I tried to join it for you, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like it took forever to try to download, and I'm like,
Oh, the first time you load it, because it's a
yeah,
browser game, it has to install everything. So it could take up to 20 minutes to open the browser window that first time. And if you navigate away from it, like if you have another window overlay over it on your monitor, it won't load. There's so many resources.
that's probably why it didn't work because I was watching your stream.
Yeah, it's probably the case.
But anyway, as far as game series, I don't know if I ever really played any game series for any length of time more than like I'd say 3 games.
hmm
Besides like the sports games, like I played a lot of Madden, I played a lot of triple play baseball. Um, I played a lot of NHL games earlier on in the series. But as far as game series, besides let's say I know I played the first 3 Resident Evils.
Those were good.
I played a lot of WWE games in succession.
Yeah.
I want to find a good baseball game for the Xbox.
I don't know if they still have that anymore. I mean, MLB The Show is kind of the biggest one, and I don't know
I
if
think
it's on,
that's the only one that's licensed now.
I don't even know if that's on Xbox, is it?
I don't know.
Usually they license the sportings are all like across all of them.
If it is, that's the biggest one I think for baseball right now is MLB The Show.
Because the last baseball game I played was Baseball Talk on the Sega.
You're a little out of the loop there.
You
And
guys
that was-
remember Hardball on PC?
No.
It was
remember-
a really early PC game.
I remember
Yeah,
it.
I played Cincinnati, so I could be, I had so I could have Bip Roberts.
You and that Bip Roberts, always.
I had Eric the Red Davis, and I'm trying to remember who the right field was back then.
Probably Reggie
Paul
Sanders.
O'Neill.
Oh,
Paul
Paul
O'Neill.
O'Neill was gone by then. He was on the Yankees. It was Reggie Sanders if you had Bip Roberts there.
I used to
Had to
love the unlicensed baseball games with the fake names on them.
Oh yeah,
Well, and I remember the first baseball game that hooked me in was, well, besides the Intellivision 2 one, which had the awesome red and blue stick figure guys that were you're out when you got out. But when they came out with MLB baseball on NES, I thought it was huge because they didn't have the player names, but they had the numbers.
Mhm.
And I would actually, and this is how I learned, I would keep book, like a actual score book while I played, so I could figure out my guys' averages and stuff because they wouldn't change.
Uh-huh.
And then the first game where you could change the names that I had was the King Griffey Jr. baseball on Super NES, which was one of my favorite games on Super NES. And I literally went through and changed the whole league's names to their accurate names.
I did that for an NCAA football game once before they had the player names in it.
Or you could download them online at those times. I did that on one of the NCAA
Mhm.
football games on, I think, PS1 or PS2 one, where you could download everything.
Yeah, this is pre-download, so it was like
Ugh. Dude, that's like 130 teams or something.
it took days.
on my computer.
I don't think I ever played it after
I
that.
used to play a baseball game on the computer, and you were the owner general manager, and so you managed the single A, double A, triple A, and major league teams. And so when
Mhm.
people got hurt, you'd move guys up and down the ranks.
That sounds like hardball, and you get to design a logo and
And I remember because I started off in like 1900, and I'm going to play every year all the way through. So I picked the Chicago White Sox because there was only so many teams.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then as it gets up, I'm like, I'm drafting all the guys I know who are going to be superstars, but then they're not becoming superstars because they're just sitting on my bench and they're not getting playing time.
Yeah, it's definitely your fault.
Yep.
It was.
You ruined their career.
You did.
No, I played a little bit of Stratomatic on the computer in the last couple years with Dave Little. He invited me to his league. I only did it 1 year. It's a little much. You really have to be dedicated with my kids and whatnot. I couldn't keep up, but I played a season with those guys, and it was 1989, so I was the Seattle Mariners. I was the team they had open, and I did end up throwing a no-hitter with Randy Johnson.
Nice.
But outside of that, it was pretty unmemorable. I mean, my team was average, a little above average with the roster they had, but I don't think I made the playoffs.
And
But I
no
really
hitter,
liked.
but
I
you
really.
walked 10 guys.
No, I think I only walked 2 or 3, but it was fun. That was my first experience with Stratomatic, and I really enjoy that game. I mean, it's a good simulation game.
Simulators are fun.
I mean, I play it, but you roll. It's basically online. You're rolling dice,
Yeah.
and it tells you the outcome.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like Pursue the Pennant. You can get it online now.
A lot of that stuff.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please check out all our friends making Filsinger Games related content. The links are below in the description, including the podcast from Filsinger Games Roll Up, the Legends teams, Uncharted Territory, Lee Longpre's Dizzy Dice, and Grant's Filsinger Games Fancast. Over on YouTube, along with us, you'll find Grant's Filsinger Games solo promoter now. Sorry, Grant, solo promoter. And Heartland Championship Wrestling from Dave Little. And After Further Review. I'm on Twitch. I play my bootleg fed every Sunday night. And yeah, there's all our social media stuff down there as well. Please check those out. And if you have any Filsinger Games related content that you'd like us to share in our description, please send us a message and we'd love to include it as well. That's all I got.
I was gonna say, and if we can, let's shoot for 123 subscribers.
123.
Start off at 23, so that means we have 100 subscribers.
23 for 23.
Yeah, that'll be
I
our
like
slogan. I like it.
Yeah. That should be pretty easily obtainable, but we'll aim low so we can feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
Now that we had Jeff, it's going to go through the roof.
Numbers are only going to go up. I won't be here next week though. Monday Night Raw, live and in person.
Priorities.
Yeah. I'll miss you all.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Night.
Good night.